we'll see if we get Carrie or is it Adriana? The other, the Romanian lady. I forget what her name was. But yeah, and so for tonight I have more handouts. Bring them here. So this one, you'll probably be able to read everything here. And it's just Plagal 1, Letter Pride. You should have. Yeah. It's old news. And then this is lesson 2, which you won't be able to do after this. But
Lesson 2.
I went to the St. Anthony's website to practice, and so I opened up Lord I've Cried, and opened up the Byzantine notation in one window, and then I clicked on audio, played it.
Yep.
For tone 1, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
But then I clicked on other tones, and all they had was recordings of a MIDI.
Yeah. Yeah. Which doesn't work nearly as well.
Doesn't work as well.
No, I'm trying to record all of them and put them up on like ByzantineChant.org. That way it can work like that. And with the note names and things, it's much nicer when, as opposed to a piano. That doesn't really work out so well.
Did you get the Stelios Demos?
Yep, I didn't get a chance to look at it yet, but I.
Okay, well the sound of it was also sort of like a MIDI, but he did it with a synthesizer so he could replicate the actual intervals.
Okay, yeah. No, I'll have to check it out for sure. There's more expensive synthesizers where you can actually like play around with tunings and things like that.
Oh, sure.
Or surprisingly.
This is just something like you can get your ear used to hearing it, kind of thing.
Surprisingly, in Syria, like if you buy the Casio keyboard here, like it's just a keyboard. In Syria, the regular Casio keyboard, it says Casio in Arabic, just it's just spelled out phonetically. And then, but you can change all the intervals between all the notes. Like, for us, you'd have to buy a really expensive keyboard. There, like my friend just went over and bought a keyboard, and you can just change intervals. Just because, like, for there's different scales of the Syrian scales or whatever it is.
They used to have the A3, which did 2 or 3 Oriental scales, and they sold it here, and it was dead cheap. It was something like $75, and it's one of these things where you kick yourself because they decided Americans didn't want it.
Yep. Oh yeah, we don't use this.
Can we order that or something like that from Casio? Can we order that?
I don't know. I've never looked into it, so.
That'd be cool.
Maybe someday. But yeah, St. Anthony's, that's actually what I did initially, Eugene, was I didn't use the midis because I didn't like the midis. But I would have the Western and the Byzantine up, and I'd be like, yep, is that what that means? Or I'd double check myself and do various things just to make sure. But yeah, if you want, I was trying the intermediate group that there's a bunch of us that were trying to record all the Vespers things and a lot of the liturgy things for a priest in Alaska. And then he kind of moved and didn't have the need anymore. He wasn't in Alaska anymore, so then we kind of stopped doing it. But we have a lot of the recordings of like all the Vespers things already chanted and set out. So if anyone wants that, I can try and figure out. It's all on Dropbox, so I'd have to share it with people. I don't know if you need Dropbox, but I'll have to see. But yeah, I'll have to send out some links for that. Okay.
Can't you just send us the MP3 files? No.
No, if you're sharing a Dropbox file, you'll need a Dropbox account. Each person will need a Dropbox account themselves.
Yeah, unless I send links, but that's a lot of links.
Yeah.
That's a lot of links. No, it wouldn't. If we somehow did it in a website format or a wiki format, that'd be one thing. But it wasn't finished, and it wasn't. This is more like a private thing that we were just doing for a person. That way, if there are mistakes or there's whatever, it's not out there. This is just a favor to a friend of a friend. So, okay. So, let's sing the scale Ni Pavuga Di Kezoni, and then we'll get into some things. So, Ni Pavuga Di Kezoni, Ni Zoke Di Gavu Pani. All right. Anyone have the names of or the scale exercise sheet with the notes of the scale. The ni pa vu pa ni pa vu ga vu pa ni. I think. Yeah, that one. Okay, I figure let's just work through. Do you have it? Yep, the one in your left hand. The one in your left hand.
This only has 4 letters?
Yep. That's the note names.
Okay.
Yep, that's what everybody else has. So let's do let's do 1. And let's do it a little faster. Let's do 3. I like 3 better for the moment. So a little faster, and then we'll do 4. Then we'll do 5 and 6 maybe. So 3 ni pa vu pa ni pa vu ga vu pa vu ga di ga vu ga di ke di ga di ke zo ke di ke zo ni zo ke zo ni pa ni zo ni pa ni zo ni. All right. Easy? Okay? No problems? Number 4. Ni pa ni vu ni ga ni li ni ke ni zo ni zo ni ke ni ga ni vu ni pa ni That's a little tough.
I wouldn't be able to hit those hockey shifts.
So, and that's where we'll kind of get into a little bit of ear training, because what we're going to start working on today especially is jumps. And so, ni da vu, ni da ga, that's probably about as far as we'll get, going both up and down. So let's do number 5. Ni vu ga ke pa ga vi zo vu di ke ni so pa ni ke di zo ke ga vu di ga pa ni vu pa ni zo ni. Tough?
Yep.
It was tough because I forgot the names of the notes, and
That's
by
where
the time we got to the 3rd line.
yeah, so that's where these are kind of trying to come in there and kind of push your brain. Number 6. So we started not on ni but vu. Vu pa ni pa vu pa vu di vu pa ni pa vu pa I think I tabbed it, but we'll see. I'll fix that. And I assume people know number 6.
Mary
Yeah. Now the question I never realized. Somebody said like, and that little lamb was Jesus, and I was like, interesting. Which I never really thought about. I'm not sure if it's true or not. Like in terms of the song.
Oh.
I don't know. Has anyone else?
I had never heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of
Probably
those
the
little, I've heard a lot of those little rhymes actually were political statements and religious statements and,
Really?
you know, how,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, like the bit about Mary had a little lamb came about because, was it
Oh,
during?
Mary the Theotokos?
Yeah.
Yeah, had a
Yeah.
little lamb.
Please let us know. Yeah.
And when the Protestantism was Cromwell's
Oh,
armies
yeah.
came in, and the way to teach catechism to the Catholic kids was to sing these little things. At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah,
So Mary had a little lamb, whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere the Mary went, lamb should go. So like, you know,
Yeah.
teaching them.
I'll have to look at the rest of this, the little nursery rhyme and see what else it says. There's more verses for sure.
Follow her to school one day, follow her to school one day.
Then it gets a little iffy.
Yes, I think it's a little hinky. So I don't know if the second one was added on and years later, probably by some
That'd be interesting.
charismatic.
Yeah.
So who's Humpty Dumpty then?
Humpty Dumpty was King Richard.
Oh.
What's really?
Yeah, his horse's name was Wall. So Humpty Dumpty sat
Oh,
on the wall.
yeah, that's
Humpty Dumpty
pretty
had a great
clear.
fall.
That's
So it was about King Richard III and
Oh.
losing the final battle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where did you read this?
Oh gosh, I've read so much. I don't know. It just over time,
Stuck there.
it just stuck.
She's a scholar of nursery rhymes. Is what we,
Yes.
is what we don't know.
You know, when you raised a child and just not any child, you learn these things.
Dr.
I'm
Balder.
joking.
Dr. Balder.
Every child is just not any child.
So what I'd like to do is look back at a few of the things that we did last week, like 32, 33, and then move on to some of the combination symbols that we did, and then we didn't actually sing through, we just talked through, and then we'll go to the exercise number 1, and we'll talk about some jumps, and
33, what is it?
your exercise, that Byzantine notation exercises.
Okay.
That'll be our standby thing.
Oh, yes.
And then if we run out of exercises, I'm currently typing more, but I haven't finished typing them enough to give you guys them, so I have the ones in Greek. And I'll finish them soon. Let's do 31 maybe instead of, let's jump back one more. So before we do those, just as a reminder, we have Isan, which is 0, right? Then we have your Oligon, your Endimata, and your Petasti, which are all +1. And then we've seen Downland, and then we've seen kind of combinations of some of these guys. And mostly we've seen this guy, which we read from bottom up. And then we've also seen this guy, which we read from bottom up as well, but we hit Kandimata there, whereas here we hit Oligon first. Then we've also seen the parts where you can start combining your Isan and Kandimata with a bar, which is your Oligon, but it doesn't act as anything, it's just there for support. It's inactive. And then also the same thing, if you replace the Isan with any other type of symbol that's descending or staying the same. So vos to vos with up 1, same deal. So that's pretty much what we've seen. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've also seen ever so slightly, I think, the Ibarowi. Did we talk about that at all? This guy? Which means down.
No,
No?
I don't think so.
Alright, we have exciting things to talk about.
Wait, what's the distinction between
You see what?
Kentamita,
These guys?
yeah, those two.
Okay. Because you read bottom up, this one is Oligon followed by Kandimata. This one's Kandimata followed by Oligon. So it affects how you will articulate the first note, and whether it gets a syllable, and how you sing them. It more affects, like when we get to rhythm later on, it'll be more important as to what the distinction between these two. But for right now, it's more, this one doesn't get a syllable, this one does get a syllable. This one's always connected to the previous note. This one is its own guy.
The left one is one syllable, right?
The last one is one syllable.
And the right one is one syllable.
No,
But
the right one would be 2.
the right one doesn't have any syllable. The right one has to have something before it.
Mhm.
So it doesn't get any of its own things. But we'll see that in these next things. If that doesn't clarify, then we can look at it. Okay. So 31. Can we do it on note names? Does anyone trust themselves?
Depends how many are involved.
Ni pavu ga vi ke vi ga ke vi ga vupani.
It's possible.
Okay, we'll just
You
let.
can do it.
So, and
Faith in you.
Patricia will be here
Yes.
to help you out,
Yeah.
and yeah. So, ni 1, 2, 3. Ni pa vo ga vi ke Hard?
A little
Okay.
tricky,
Yeah. Okay. Let's do 31 one more time on la, and then we'll move on. So la, 3, 4. La 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 Easier? Okay, so we get a lot of connection there. In general, when we actually go to real music, like 32 and 33, these are very simple things. I actually heard them sung at a Greek church. Not the English version, but the Greek version that's in the Greek packet. The really simple ones, and I was like, well, who sings these? And then I went to a Greek church and they were singing these exact melodies, and I was like, oh, that's where they come from. Because I've never heard like a chanter, but this was like a very simple choir that was singing at a beach Greek church. So they were relaxed and they were chilling. So 32 and 33, in general, we would sing these things on Nipavu first and then sing it with the words, but I think it's worth it to try and sing with the words again, just to see how it goes. So, but if we get to Vespers and whatever music we sing, it'll always be on Nipavu first. So, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, number 32, 1, 2, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the Trinity, one in essence and undivided. Easy? Any questions?
We do this at St. Catherine's, but Trinity is really up there.
Oh yeah, you guys,
Trinity.
no one knows any jumps, so I can't write any jumps.
All right.
No, I would rather do the Trinity, one in essence. No, I wouldn't do it. No, yeah, it normally would go the Trinity, but yeah, this is as it says in the asterisk. The following melodies are simplified and intended to showcase the symbols learned thus far. So, as a the Greek actually says something similar. I was translating it.
No, I was just trying to say that because we do that right here in Falls Church.
Oh, nice. I've never been there for
That's
liturgy, so I've only been there for other. Well, liturgy on a Sunday. It's not even Saturdays or weekdays. 33. That'll be our knee. 1, 2, 1. A mercy of peace, a sacrifice of praise. Can we do that one on Nipavu? Ni ni zo Nipavu. Fu ga ga bu pa ni. It's not very much, so. Ne a ye. That'll be our knee. 1, 2, 1. Ni ni zo ni pa vu vu ga ga vu pa ni. Cool. All right. Combination symbols. Number 34. I don't think we did 34 or 35 or any of those guys. We'll see. Let's do it on law just to demonstrate how the Kendi method works. So, but otherwise it'd be ni pa vu ga di. So 34 on law. Ne a ye la la. Questions? Yep. Let me know if we're going too fast or if that's an okay speed. I realize if we do note names, we'll have to pull it back. Let's see, I think number 35, which is triple meter. This one, I could write this as, did I write this as an exercise? Ni pa vu ga vi vi. It'd be a very simple exercise for the note names. But this one, we'll do on la again. And this one, because the kendimata is on bottom of the symbol combination, we would say ni pa vu ga di vi, but it's la 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 la. So just to make sure that we're connecting everything on la. 35. 1, 2, 3. La la. It's the 1 beat plus 2 dots, so that makes it 3 beats total.
It's added.
All right.
But the rest thing, if this and the 2 dots is only 2.
Because there's no note. Well, because there's no note there.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the note counts as 1 beat.
But there is something on the paper.
Yep, but that's just a stress. That's no quantitative note. It's a qualitative symbol. Yeah. So any questions on that, on everything we've done so far? Any clarifications?
Nick, you have such a cute expression when you BS the Byzantine.
When I
Did
what?
you say BS the Byzantine?
That's what I heard.
She said
That's what
BS,
that's
BS
what
the
my ears
Byzantine,
heard.
yes.
So I appreciate it. Thank you. Sadly, the internet cannot see it because I have a document on my screen. So, but yeah. So iperovi.
When you're trying to find some explanation for that, like, well, it doesn't really have a lot under it, so.
Well, it doesn't.
No, it made sense. The
Yeah.
explanation made sense.
I rationalize it with myself.
That's
I'll have to
like-
read an actual textbook and see what happens. But they're all in Greek unless I write one, in which case it's gonna be my rationale. So, and the other one that's written as we've mentioned is kind of, I don't know. They don't really explain anything too well. Iperovi is our next note. As was said in the previous class, many months ago, one of the women was having difficulty pronouncing iperovi, and then Father David said pierogi, and just put iperogi, and then just forget the G a little bit and iperoi. So if pierogies help you and don't make you too hungry, then there they are. So, but iperoi, I don't know what it means, but the iperoi, how it functions as a note, is down one. It's a symbol that actually has two symbols inside of it. It just means down one. It takes no syllable because where's the syllable gonna go? Is it gonna go on the first or on the second? I don't know. So that's how that works. So if I put a Nissan before it, it would just be la all the way across. Now
So that's a total of 3 beats.
this would be 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So but this note takes up 2 consecutive notes. So it's down one consecutively, no jump. We'll go through jumps in a minute. And then you can put things on top or on bottom. The next thing we'll learn in a minute is that you can put a dot on the bottom. You never really put a dot on the top. You can put 1 dot or 2 dots or 3 dots. That dot, because it's on the bottom, goes on the second one. If it was on the top, it would go on the first one, but you never really see it on the top. So if there were a dot underneath, whether it be 1 or 2 or 3 dots, it would go on the second one. And I probably wouldn't draw a dot there. I would rather put plasma. So these are the 2 next things that we'll learn. Does that make sense?
What does that do?
The dot? Or
Yeah.
No, the plasma.
well, the plasma just makes this beat 2 beats.
Adds a beat.
Yeah, adds a beat. And so then this one, because it's 1 symbol but it contains 2 motions, you have down one, and the second one gets affected by the bottom one. Whatever's on the bottom, the first one gets affected by whatever on the top.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, since it's on the bottom, it affects the second of the 2 down ones, which is down one, so it gets an added beat. So now this whole thing is 3 beats. And we'll see it in action. But does that make sense? Like already initially. Okay.
It's 36.
So 36, we'll sing it on La again, and this is mostly not because singing it on Nipavu is not helpful, but more because we're doing things where there's hidden notes. It's nice to know, instead of going Nipavu papa ni zo ni ni, it's la 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 la, if you actually just sing it with music. So eventually we'll start doing everything with both note names and with laws, but we'll get there. So 36 on La. 1, 2, 3. La 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 la. La
we singing la on the second note?
Because it's a kendimata, is the second note.
But when the continuata is alone, we do sing another la. It does get a solo.
Nope.
It's unstressed.
Unstressed.
Well,
We-
I meant here.
Oh, I mean the oligon.
The oligon
oligon.
when it's by itself, yeah.
Yeah.
But
With the oligon, why weren't we singing la at every oligon that was after?
because that's not, it doesn't get a syllable.
It doesn't get a syllable.
Because
Because-
it's in combination?
It's part of a combination symbol.
Okay. So
Yeah.
when it's in a combination, it doesn't get a syllable.
No,
Okay.
because where would you write the syllable? You'd write it, you write it under the symbol combo, and
And
then
then you wouldn't know what to do.
yeah.
Okay, that's why.
But if you knew the rule that Kadimata was not getting a syllable
Mm-hmm.
and an oligon normally does, then why wouldn't a syllable written under that combination indicate to you that the second of part of that combination receive it?
Because they wouldn't be on top of each other. They would be split up then.
Okay,
And it's mainly for sight reading purposes.
okay.
There's a lot of what we'll call orthographic rules as to how you write certain things to make it easy to sight read and predictable. And there's certain combinations that you'll always use in a certain circumstance. And so these are part of orthographic rules, how you would write something to make it easy to read.
Because there are a lot of ways to write the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
With
And-
a combination or without a combination.
Right,
It can
which
be the
is-
same as it.
Which is where in Western music you would write them all as exactly the same thing. In Byzantine, depending upon what tone you're in and depending upon how you're writing it, it's there's a certain way of writing it. So then you begin to recognize them based upon your tone, and then you can ignore the entire phrase because you recognize the pattern, which is lost in the Western music. So that's where, with those orthographic rules, they're meant to be easy enough to remember and to recognize all over and over and over again. So, is that satisfactory, Galina? Does that?
Sure.
Okay.
We're gonna have words.
Hmm?
When we're actually singing, we're going to have words.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not gonna be a problem there.
Right, but that's why I'm doing law, just to let you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to let you know how they all connect together.
Okay.
37.
In other words, we cannot impose our logic upon the notes. We must wait to find out what the Byzantine logic of the singularity of the notes means.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, because this is all theory, which is created after something was written. Yeah. So it's like music theory. Music theory, Bach's music theory, was written based on Bach because he was just very predictable, and so they wrote a lot of music theory based on him. So I don't think he had a book of rules that he was following up. 37. Triple meter. Let's do it on law again, just because, again, we're getting used to our kendimata and the symbol combo. So, ne agye Okay. Let's do 38 with note names. With no names, yes. So if you look, it's kind of simple to start with, and then it's kind of simple to end with. So it just goes pretty much up and down the scale, with a little pause on the downward scale. So, everybody cool with that? All right. Number 38. Ni ni pa wo ga li ke zo ni zo ke li ga vo pa ni.
Can we do the second half again?
Sure.
Starting from the high knee.
Sure. Ni, ni zarkevi gabo pani. Very good. Alright, so the next thing says iparowi with the upli. That's again just the single dot below the iparowi.
No mass.
Oh, you don't have it?
Mm-mm.
We
All
don't
right.
have
The last
any.
one.
Alright, well then I told you what this is on my sheet that I'm working on then.
Yes.
Alright, I got lots of new stuff. So
Okay.
now you have another sheet which has
We
the
have Plagal first mode.
no, you have the Byzantine manual in Greek that I handed out, the 3 sheets.
What?
This guy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
16, 18. Wait. I'm missing. Oh, they're back and forth like this.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Let me switch to my manual. Alright, so we are starting on exercise 37. Okay, so we did 37, we did 38. 39 is our new one, which I already explained what it means, right?
Hmm?
I already explained 39, how the iparowi with the apri beneath it
Mhm.
works.
Yep.
So 39, we'll just sing through 39 if that's okay with everybody. So
Agree with
On
the
what?
Apine.
la, yeah. So ne because we go down the knees, okay, zoni. So on la, 1, 2, 39, go. La, 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 Alright. So as you notice, you got a glimpse at a pattern, and then you can just see like, oh, I have a bunch of these. I can just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and then yeah. So that's where patterns are helpful, but at the same time, if there's so many patterns, you have to make sure that you know which one you're on and how many there are. But it's not going to be like that in real music, like that predictable. But but that gives you a chance, like you can kind of stop reading the music essentially, because I think both of you got lost over
That's why I
here.
put my finger there.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't actually get lost.
Okay.
I was starting to lose count.
Yeah.
Right.
So and it's very easy. Like when I was reading that, I was like, oh, I can just skip ahead, you know, because like I know what's coming up. I see it. So did that make sense with the upli, the holding of the second beat of the iparoi? Okay. I'll introduce very briefly jumps, and then we'll go to the exercise, exercise 1, and Lord I've Cried, and then we'll see how much time we have left. So,
Going down 2 notes with the kinkimata.
so what we're gonna do is that going consecutively is fun, but now we get to go discontinuously, and so we get to jump. So what ends up happening, there's a concept to figure out with jumping, which is there's 2 ways to learn all the symbols. One is to just memorize what they mean, or memorize what they mean, like +2, +3, +4, jump up 5. The other one is to understand their components, so that no matter what symbol you get, you can understand how it works together. So if it says +13, you don't have to memorize +13. You can just say, oh, I know how this fits together, and then you can piece it together. Because there's only, again, 10 symbols, so to go +13, you have to start combining symbols. So I'll talk about something that's a little bit more big to understand, but when I first learned, I just memorized. And then eventually I learned, wait a minute, there's a method to this. And then you figure out how to actually put them together on your own mathematically. Because it's all mathematics eventually. So, let's say we have our polygon, right? There's a new symbol that we'll learn right now, which is your kendima. It's just a slash. Looks kind of like your kendimata, because kendimata just means kendima, plural. So this is 2, this is 1. So this is your kendima, this one equals plus 2. So if you see this, and let's say you're underneath, and you see this guy, you jump to vu. Okay? So if you're on top, you jump to ga, vu, you jump to z. The difficulty here is that this guy's kind of small. So we have to give him a little bit of support. If you're in the midst of the music, he could get lost in the midst of everything. So what you do is you provide him a helper, a buddy. So you give him an oligon that sits next to him to kind of give him support. Okay? The oligon doesn't do anything. He's just kind of saying, okay, there's a bigger symbol here now. The kendima is what's important. Okay?
So it's inactive.
Yeah, so your oligon is inactive. And the other...
This one does the
How do you know
walking,
when
the
it's
second one does
inactive
the
and when
talking.
it's not? How do you know it's?
We'll get to that in a
because
second.
it's in front of it? Oh.
So the way to know is whether it's on the side. If it's on the side or underneath, it's the helper symbol is inactive. So like this, your active symbol, like this one's always active. He's on the side, so this helper symbol is inactive. If I were to write it like this, now they add together. Because now it's straight up and down. And we'll get to that in a second. So this equals 2, up 2. There's another way to write this for, again, orthographic purposes, and that's to bring this kendima underneath. So then you have a symbol that looks like that. 2 different ways to write the same symbol, same exact thing. This is so that you don't confuse it with ibaroi, which kind of looks the same but is backwards. Right? So one's like that, one's like that. So when you see this, it means that you're gonna go down after it. Whenever you see this underneath, you're always gonna go down after it. Or maybe stay the same, but in general go down. And if there's enough space, then you can kind of do whatever you want. Like there's enough space between this and the next note. Like let's say there's a martiria right after it. Doesn't really matter so much. But when you see this, you're always going to stay the same or ascend, this top one. If you see this, you're always going to go down. Okay, again, just a way to sight read and to help you get along. So polygon inactive in both these cases because your kendima is either on the side or underneath. So your kendima is the important one. And before I introduce something else, I'll show you how to go down to. So we have, we'll say this guy is up to. To go down to, we have a new symbol, which is your alafron. So, alafron. Okay? And he is minus 2. And this is your kendima. So this one is fine, there's not much to say about last one, except that it's down 2. Now, I was talking about the inactive versus active. So, let's say I do this. I put the kendima on top. So, now this guy is active, oligon. So he's 1, this top one's 2. So what is this? Plus 3. Okay. Similarly, when you go down, okay, you're at Afron, what if I do this? So we have our...
Down 3?
This is down 3. Right? So you just have... now you're just combining symbols. So now it's all mathematics. And for the sake of just kind of going further with this, I'm going to introduce a new symbol, which is this one's called ipsilis. It'll do this.
Sure.
Okay? So, we saw how to go up 2, we saw how to go up 3. I wonder what this one's going to do. It's probably going to go up 4. So this one goes up 4 by itself. Again, he's a small symbol, so he needs a helper. So he's a very thin symbol. So you could put an oligon like this. That's kind of weird looking. So what they do in general is instead of putting him in the middle, as we did for the Kendima, which fits very nicely, they kind of attach the UCDs to the side. So he just kind of sits on the right hand side. So when it's on the right hand side, the Oligon is inactive, right? However, if we move our UCDs to the other side, now he's active, either in the middle or on the left hand side. Most of the time, they move him all the way to the left hand side so you don't get confused because the middle's kind of close to the right. So they move him all the way to the left, just for to make everything clear. So that's +5. Because it's 1 + 4 equals 5. Kind of makes sense with the inactive, active a little bit. It'll take a little bit of time to get used to it. You can also just memorize this is 4, this is 5, this is 3. Again, that's perfectly acceptable. And then to go down, we saw go down 2, go down 3. To go down 4, we have a new symbol. This is your what's called Hamidis. That's good. Just a little L with an X in it. So this is down 5 or down 4. Sorry. And then if you want to go now you've learned all the down symbols, and you've learned all the up symbols. So we're done learning symbols. So that's it. Everything else is mathematical combinations. And then we'd have to get into rhythm and other things that just make things more complex. So let's say we go down 4. What if I do this? Down 5. What if I do that? So this is down 4.
6.
Yeah, down 6. And so forth. If I put this one beneath it, or sorry, down 6. So then down 7, and down, so all those things. Does that kind of make sense that now it's all mathematical? Okay. And then to do the same.
Yeah, I missed this lesson last time around, so this is a good thing for me to.
Okay.
Because I never knew this.
Once I figured this out, I was like, boy, this is awesome. Because I just memorized things, and then eventually I realized that wait a minute, there's a method to this.
Now I see why some of these didn't add up right. Because I was trying to figure these out on my own.
Oh, okay.
But I noticed wait, why is this 3 and this 4? But I didn't know about the inactive Oligon thing.
Yeah. So and it's all about how you're adding and stacking them up. So the question is, okay, so we have this guy, which we said is up 4, right? So this guy is up 4. Then this guy is up 5. So up a 6th. So let's say I do this. Just out of curiosity. So this. So
wait.
how much is this one?
By itself?
Yeah.
Up 2.
Okay.
Up 4.
Okay.
Up 6.
Up 6. Yeah. And he's on the right, so it's inactive.
Right.
So. Oh, sorry. Up 6. I gotta learn how to write my numbers. Okay. Now, what if I do this? They're all stacked together.
In the middle of all this.
Up 7.
Up 7. Which I mean obviously makes sense in the stack of things.
So now the Oligon's active.
Now the Oligon's active. Yeah. Because you have a
It
stack.
wouldn't make sense for it not to be.
You could put him all the way over here, but this kind of makes more sense. Like you're just stacking them together now.
Yeah.
So if he's off to the side, means nope, we're not caring about the Oligon. Here, it's all active. So.
They probably stack them because both of the top 2 are considered small notations
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
in the small category.
Yeah. And then so then we saw. Let's see. So that was 4. We saw this was 5, and this one 6. This one 7, right? Now what if I do 8, 4 + 4? So now what if you want to sing up 13? It's, now you just start adding in combinations.
So theoretically, could you make up a combination notation for up or down some large number, as long as you follow the correct way of combining things,
Exactly.
thinking like a Greek?
It becomes almost like Roman numerals if you think about it.
Yeah.
So, like it's just about where they are and how they how they're put together. So, so that's that. Um, any questions on this? I guess this kind of I wanted to put this out there just to put it in your minds. You don't need to know this, and you don't need to know like, oh, this one's 5. I gotta memorize that right now. I just want to put this inactive, active, how these all work, and then it's all mathematical, and they all just add together, and how they all work. That kind of work.
It's time to create a secret language
I have
based
two.
on this.
I have two, so you can have one.
Oh, thank you. So this is some cool stuff, and now essentially, I told you you'd learn 10 quantitative symbols, 10 ups and downs, and so you now know how to sing a lot more than 10. But we learned ison, oligon, atasti, animata. You have your apostrophos, your iperoli. You just learned the last one, and your kamili. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we also have your kendima, 9, and then your ipsili, 10. Okay? That's all 10. So, now you're done. You graduate. No. And the rest of the exercises throughout the packet, and if I get a chance to write them out, it's just going to say this one's going to practice up 2. This one's going to practice up 3. This one's going to practice up 4. Just getting you used to reading them and getting you used to ear training for them. So, if there are no other questions, I'd like to sing a little bit of Lord I Have Cried, this Plagal 1 that I gave you. Let's see, Vespers. So this is the brief version, which just means it's brief because it's not necessarily quicker, but it's got less notes per syllable. So instead of being Lord, I have cried, it's Lord, I have cried unto thee. Very straightforward. So what we'll do, because we don't know everything yet, what I'd like to do is just read the first line, because you know everything on the first line. The only thing that I haven't introduced, which is not really something necessary to introduce, is we already saw the rest, you know, which is like that, which is a stress with a dot. So this by itself just means a stress. So we see one of those in there. And then you also see something called a psithi ston, which is kind of like a slur. It's a wiggle under the note. So if I were to do that with like an oligon with this little squiggly underneath it, that just means emphasis, and it gives you the opportunity to slur to it. So it'd be, if you look at the first 5 symbols, it'd be, Lord, I have cried, cried. You get that slur up to it. It's the one time that you can scoop in music. Is when it's yeah, it's a scoop. You get the give a little to go. So Lord, I have cried unto thee. So that's how that works. So to go through the first line, stay the same, down 1, up 1, up 1, up 1, down 1, down 1, up 1, up 1 for 2 beats. Up 1 with a little flutter, down 1, stay the same, down 1, up 1 for 2 beats. Right? And this one, once we actually start going through Vespers again, this would be Keli kezoni zo kezoni. But for the moment, we'll just sing it on Lord, I Have Cried, on the words. So, can we just go straight at it? Kind of slowly? What?
What is Lord, baby?
You know, what?
Yeah, what is the Ison?
Oh, that says, it has an M, and then it has K.
What does M mean?
Mazi, unison, everyone together.
Okay.
So Mazi means just together. Or as some of my people that don't know how to read Greek, they're like, that means sing the music. So they of course they weren't exactly musicians, and so they didn't know the word unison, but um, but I was like, yeah, it does mean sing the music. So whenever they see M, they read music.
Music, dummy.
Yeah.
It stands for dummy. Sing the music, dummy.
So, Lord, I have cried. Plagal of the first word, and this starts at K. If you look at the top right under Lord, I have cried, it says K. We'll just ignore all of that for the moment until we're a little older in Byzantine music. So, ane, ane, that'll be our K. 1, 2, 1. Lord, I have cried unto thee. Hearken unto me. That's all that you know for the moment. So, do it one more time, or is that? Let's do it a little faster.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 1. Lord, I have cried unto thee. Hearken unto me. One more time. A little faster. 1, 2, 1, 2. Lord, I have cried unto thee. Hearken unto me. Now, can you do it and I sing a song? You think you can do it? Lord, I have cried unto thee. Hearken unto me. Very nice. Very good. You guys can go on the road. So, that's a little brief glimpse at some music. A lot of music you can read like parts of it. You can't read all of it yet because you start getting into rhythm. You start getting into other special symbols, which may or may not matter, but the rhythm matters. The only
We found that out this night, didn't we?
yes, the rhythm matters. And then the only thing, exercise 1, I'll forgo for the moment. I think maybe the next lesson we'll look at that and just make sure, go through everything, make sure it all makes sense. The lesson 1 that I handed out, and go through like the little hymn at the end and the challenge exercise. So
this little signature here, does this mean that in the plagal
I'm gonna ignore this
Four.
symbol, but
plagal first plagal, we are starting the first note on K?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's not.
So it's like a useful thing, I think.
Oh yeah. It describes what it should mean. And the thing on top of the K tells you like it's more a historical thing that the tone used to be based on Pa, which slow tone 5 plagal 1 is, but this one's based 4 notes above it on K. So it tells you K, but it also says 4 notes above what it should be, which is Pa. So yeah, it's all. So if you know what's in there,
and
it's
when
helpful.
you're singing the martyria, I'm presuming that there's a different way of singing that, so people know it by ear as well as singing.
Like where to start? Or?
Yeah.
Well, if I were to go ane ane, that's plagal 1 from K,
Right.
brief one. If I were to go maybe ane ane, that would be slow tone 5, or the briefer one, the ane anes. Both those would tell you different types of tone 5s to plagal 1. And each tone has its own little introduction, which you may or may not hear depending upon who's leading.
Which part tells you that you're in plagal first?
Well,
Plagal 1.
in the Greek part?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the English, conveniently, they always tell you. In the Greek, they normally don't, well, they might tell you in certain hymns. The part, it says, when I was thinking about writing these in English at some point, like, it might look kind of weird, though. I'm not sure how exactly to do it. The Arabic even, I'll have to look at what the Arabic does, but a lot of times they still have the Greek written there. Sometimes they have a little bit of Arabic script. They still write ecos and things like that. So, you have this, which is ecos, which just means mode, tone, like kind of what is your method of singing. And then right after that, it says pi with a lambda on top, which stands for plagal. Correct? And plagal just means turned on its side type of thing. It could mean up four notes, I've heard, but when I was told it meant like in bizarre world. It's like it's not tone one, it's plagal tone one. So it's kind of on its side. There's similarities, but not exactly. It's just different enough.
Transmogrified
What?
tone.
Yeah. So that's plagal. The next thing, it tells you something about the tone and how it's and then what scale you're going to be singing in. This specifically tells you something about diatonic scale. This symbol is a holdover from ancient Greek times when they used to sing in diatonic scales for Homer and things like that. So this still is retained because St. John of Damascus or whoever was writing these symbols were like, people already know this. This is part of popular culture. This is the same symbol.
It's but it's a note.
Hmm?
It's but it's notes.
It's
it's A, but it's notes.
Oh.
In other words,
Oh,
that's what somebody said the symbol was to me. In ancient times, this was like writing A,
okay.
but it's a note, so it made it longer.
Okay. Yeah.
You're holding it.
And normally they use for like numbers and things. Yeah, it's they use letters too. So then I can see that. And then the ke, and these dots mean something too, but I'll ignore this for the moment. Then this tells you what note you start on, and this I believe is more of a historical thing to tell you that the how they're related between other ones. So this is from pa, and this is your ke.
What are the dots? We want to know.
Normally they mean like up four notes from the. So this means some sort of scale symbol, and so if the dots weren't there, it'd be a different note, and the dots just mean up four notes from the previous symbol. So you would see this if I were to write pa in the diatonic scale, which we don't know. I would write it like this, which is similar to ke, except that ke gets two dots because 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's four notes up. Sometimes I've heard other things too, but in general it seems to mean four.
I would wanted to know what these dots mean.
But from just the Greek, how would I know on plagal 1 versus plagal 2, plagal 3, plagal 4?
Depending upon your previous knowledge. Sometimes they might write at the beginning of it, like let's say in the Book of Eight Tones, they'll write plagios to plagal of the second. But if you're switching hymns or if you're on other books, they don't say this is plagal second, or they don't tell you what you're doing. They just write a little thing here, and somehow you know.
Okay.
Yeah. And by putting things together, you're like, wait a minute, that's it. And sometimes you just know what scale you're singing in, and you just kind of go with it. But yeah.
And is this the modal melody?
What?
Is this the modal melody?
No, that's Kyrie Kekraksa. That's just Lord I've Cried. That's just the translation of what.
Yeah, I know. Oh, you just put the name of it here.
But this is from St. Anthony's Monastery.
Right, but usually if they have it small like that, it means like that's the melody we usually use. That's one of the melodies we really use, and you will remember it from those words.
But it's not. It's this one they just say. I think for the Greek people, like if I were looking at this and I say Kyrie Kekraksa, it's like, what does that mean? What that didn't help me. If they so yeah, that's just saying this is what the beginning of the Greek words are.
But if you go to analogian.com and you start right-clicking and saving all of those modal melodies.
The model melodies, the prosomia.
The model melodies. Sometimes you'll notice that the words that they have that above will match by name what the modal melody is.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes they won't. So that you can have, say, number 188 for a whole bunch of different hymns.
Oh yeah.
And it'll say something like Kyrie Kekraksa.
Yeah. But this is not one of those.
But this is not one of those.
No.
Okay.
No. Those are specific hymns, and those are always Tehira.
And is this like the time?
Well, Papa Ephraim from St. Anthony's Monastery wrote 160 to tell you approximately 160 beats per minute.
Well, I know that. That's modern.
But what he's doing is interpreting what is to the left of that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So these are things we're gonna learn for how fast or slow we ought to do it.
Mhm.
Right.
And once you learn rhythm, then we can talk about those, because there's rhythmic things there that were are best served later. But the chi beneath it, the letter chi, and then it just means chronos, the time. So it's just the time signature, how fast you're gonna do something.
And one thing that's really nice about the Analogian is that they pick the oldest recording they possibly have of whatever it is.
Which is sometimes a very bad recording.
Well, yeah, but still, it's sort of like, well, that guy from 1923, you know how to do it a lot better than the guy from 1967.